Okay, so as I said, I've been doing this panel for a very, very long time. I did the preliminary versions around 2012 when I decided, you know, Pokemon gets it gets a lot of love, it gets a lot of respect, but there's a lot of people that consider it to be kids' games. And I don't like that because there's a lot that goes into Pokemon. Particularly if you've ever spent any time studying folklore, studying mythology, or in some cases, just studying the Japanese obsession with collecting and labeling things. So I decided to do this panel as a way of giving back some contributions. As with any lecture I do, anywhere at any time. Formulate your own conclusions, go out there, research, and learn. I owe an enormous debt of gratitude to Bulbapedia for this. I also owe a debt of gratitude to whoever at Bulbapedia was writing that On the Origins of Species article series that disappeared, because there's a lot in there. All you have to do is look. I have about 155 Pokemon in this panel from the 3 million that exist. 700 something. 742, so, what, 22, well, 42 is death, so let's just not get into that. So, frequently, I have the opportunity to present this at a lot of different places. Libraries love it, but once I was having a conversation with a certain voice actor, and I said, oh, I'm on my way to talk about Pokemon mythology, and he gave me that expression. Pokemon mythology. How, sir, are you formulating your arguments? And I had to spend 5 minutes in an elevator explaining to him what I meant. And I distilled it down to the works of this man here, Joseph Campbell. Now, some of you know it. Joseph Campbell back in the 80s did a special on PBS called The Power of Myth, where he deconstructed Star Wars as contemporary mythology. I have attended talks from the Joseph Campbell Foundation that have talked about Harry Potter, that have talked about Final Fantasy. I gave one about Xenogears that talks about this idea of how mythology impacts what we do. Pokemon is in a very unique place when it comes to talking about mythology, because as the capacity of this room can attest, we have all played it, right? Because it has such a reach, because it has gone so mainstream, and because it's been able to saturate 20 years worth of gameplay. There are people in this room that are younger than Pokemon. I bet the two of you combined are younger than Pokemon. Okay. But, almost. But that's the idea. We know what it is. I remember the days when you could go to the wallet store in the mall and buy the trading cards. I remember the days when they were banned from schools because they were disruptive. I remember buying a first edition Charizard when it was still 20 bucks. But here's the thing. Joseph Campbell had this way down of breaking down mythology into a bunch of component traits. But he also talked about this idea as mythology is a product of human culture, as a representation of life, and as a reflection of experience. It's a simple way of saying we tell the stories we want to live. We insert ourselves into the stories that we want to experience. So on the one hand, I'm a nerdy guy with glasses. On the other hand, I can actually be Harry Potter. Because I don't want to be Harry. I kind of want to be Hermione, but that's another story for another day. The whole idea behind it is we tell the stories we want to tell. They resonate because we see ourselves in them. Anyone who has picked up a lightsaber and said, I'm Luke Skywalker, is living a mythology. Anyone who has gone outside and played Thor and Loki with their best friend is living a mythology. Anyone who plays Pokemon with their friends is living a mythology. It's just a different version of it. And as you play through the games, they are great at taking the story, simplifying it, stripping it down, making it addictive, making it perpetual, and you're never going to stop playing, ever. I will be in my 90s, and I will still be complaining about those damn kids and that stupid Pikachu. Yes, Psyduck, I'm completely serious. Because the idea behind mythology is it's rooted in culture, it uses symbols and metaphor, it's compelling, it's evocative, it's interactive, it thrives on community. Community? Who here has ever played or traded a Pokemon with someone? Who here has ever beaten the Elite Four? Who here has played the original Red? Community. We're interacting with each other and telling the stories we want to tell. And now you're listening to me shout about them, so later you can go to your friends and be like, so I just heard about Pokemon mythology, congratulations, the virus is spread. So, there's a thing about Pokemon. And it comes down to the first group of lessons, life lessons. Joseph Campbell had this fond thing called the hero's journey, or the fool's journey, where you start off unremarkable and become great. You meet people along the way, people who are going to teach you, who are going to challenge you, who are going to make you laugh. And as you meet these people, you grow as an individual. In Pokemon, you start as a young child or a teenager in hot pants. Your mother says, go next door and get this thing in a ball. So you get a Pokemon. She gives you about $100 and kicks you out of the house. And says, grow up. I'll see you when you're a Pokemon master. In our culture, we call that child abuse. In the world of Pokemon, it's teaching fiscal responsibility. So you go on this to learn self-reliance. Did you blow all your money on Pokeballs and now your Pokemon are unconscious? Shame on you. Did you spend all your money on potions and now you have no Pokemon? Shame on you. I hate using Pokemon to describe economics, but if you do not know how to budget and you do not have that coin that doubles your money, you will never have what you need. Likewise, it talks about the bonds we form with people. You have your friends. And I'm fond of saying, if you do not have friends, life kind of sucks. But when you have friends, when you meet people, it makes everything better. A lot of myths have companion characters. They have sage characters. And these are the people that define who you are and teach you how to be better than what you are. You have the bond with your weapon. There's this old saying that this is my rifle, there are many like it, but this one is mine. It belongs to you. Your Pokemon is a weapon. You are a gladiator, but it has a will of its own, and you have to treat it with respect. If you break that bond, you're a jerk. Likewise, you have your rivals. Your rival's job is to make you the very best like no one ever was. When you want to beat your rival could be a bad guy who you just want to beat up. Your rival can be your friend that you just want to do that stupid Sengoku Basara dance with, but you're just better than me, sorry. This idea that your rival can make you a better person. I do an anime openings panel and he does a dance and it's amazing and I wish I could do it. Then you've got evil. You are a kid with a ball fighting adults. And yes, somehow, you and your 6 balls managed to win. That's a lot of balls. But the fact is, you have to learn to overcome. As the games progress, the stories get more and more rooted in world mythology. And then the consequences get greater as the stories get greater. So we'll start here with archetypes. You are the fool. You are the hero. You are the everyman. You are the normal person. And you go out into the world and meet different types of people. The first question they ask you is, are you a boy or a girl? Or are you a guy in real life who plays as a girl? I actually play as a female character because they have better outfits. Pokemon X, the dress-up game is kind of cool and it makes people like you. But this idea behind it is, it's your story. You tell the story you want. If you want to have 6 Pikachu and call yourself the Shockmaster, that's okay. If you want to have a bunch of Magikarp and call yourself Surf Bum, that is okay. If you want to name your character Krylo Ren and use dark types, it's totally okay. The thing is, it's your story. You tell the story you want, and in the end, you reap the rewards of it. Likewise, you have a holy fool. What is a holy fool? It's Homer Simpson. It's an idiot, but it's the kind of guy that gets into and out of trouble. The holy fool's job is to make you question rules and order. When you meet a holy fool, chances are you're trying to transform, or they're trying to simply get an uptight person to withdraw the wood from their rear end. The goal of the holy fool is to make it comical, because without laughter, what have we got? We have... So they're blasting off again. Never wins a Pokemon battle. You know why they're great holy fools, aside from the comic relief? They are the only Pokemon trainers I have ever seen who got their Pokemon to evolve by feeling sorry for them. Season 1, I wish you would evolve. They evolved, and then they still lost. That's the idea behind the holy fool. The jester, he makes you laugh, he makes you question, and Pokemon would be way too serious if it wasn't for the insertion of a character like this. Likewise, you have the companion, and I know exactly where this one's going. The companion is your Pokemon. Friends for life through thick and thin, it's another tale to spin. You've got this idea that your Pokemon goes there with you. Your Pokemon grows with you. Your Pokemon evolves and transforms with you. And if you do not have a good relationship with your Pokemon, with your companion, then you are going to fail. But if you have a good relationship and you trust and respect them, you will grow. So, Pokemon, you are a graduate student. Professor Oak teaches you how to battle, hands you a Pokemon, hands you a Pokedex, and says, do my research for me. And you do because you want to get the credits. But the idea behind it is you need to have the mentor, the person who teaches you. I particularly love Professor Birch, who when you meet him is being chased around, and you need to save him by the skin of your teeth. That I love, because it goes to show you that even the mentor can sometimes be a holy fool. And then we have the anti-hero. This is not a villain, but rather, I like Carl Jung's definition. The anti-hero is atypical morality. The anti-hero might have his heart in the right place, but he rejects the values of heroism. The anti-hero might want to do the best for everyone, but ends up doing the wrong thing along the way. People like Scar from Full Metal Alchemist, Batman, Wolverine, or... I love this guy. He is my hands down favorite part of Black and White. Reason? I agree with him. I want to make Pokemon happy. I want to keep the bonds of Pokemon intact. But you do not make Pokemon happy by severing the tie between master and trainer. You just don't do that. That is not morality. But N's heart is in the right place. But you know what they say about the road to hell? It's paved with the best of intentions. Okay, I don't even need to say anything. He has a car and cheerleaders. You have Brock, Misty, a temperamental Pikachu, and maybe a bicycle. He is the grandson of the original Pokemon professor. You are an annoying kid who lives next door. He has every Pokemon imaginable. You have Tauros from the Safari Zone.
Times 30.
When you have no usable Pokemon, you are 2 tiles away from the Pokemon Center, who comes out the door and challenges you? He is everything you want to be. And when you wipe that smug grin off his face at the end of the game, it is the most satisfying thing you will ever have, knowing that you did it. And that's the job of the rival. The rival is not the godlike villain. The rival is not the guy who's trying to threaten the world. The rival is the guy who challenges you. This is the guy that you need to beat. This is the guy who holds all the marbles, the money, the power, the legions of servants, the influence. This, my friends, is that guy. He is the Viridian City gym leader. He is the guardian of the Pokemon League and the most wealthy and influential man in Kanto. He controls Team Rocket that steals Pokemon and has a clone of God in his basement. You have a temperamental Pikachu, and you have to beat him. And nothing is more satisfying than winning, than getting there, than defeating him, going on to defeat your rival, becoming the Pokemon League champion, and then somehow losing it again and having to fight with the entire League Four until all your characters are level 100 you need to beat the local Pokemon tournament. Which I do sometimes. I have 6 level 100 Mewtwo's. Okay, I'm just going to get this out of the way. Mewtwo is my favorite Pokemon and he always will be. And I will explain why a little later on. So, Pokemon in the original game was very much a gotta catch them all, collect them all game, based on a lot of the kind of cataloging and indexing that Japan is famous for. Then as the game started to move around, they started to get a bit more complex. Case in point, creation stories. Pokemon, up until a point, did not really have a creation story. It's just always assumed that this is how things were. And then, in the beginning, there was Arceus, and it was good. And Arceus got Dialga and Palkia and told them to go forth and be fruitful. And they did. One day, Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia decided to eliminate their corruption, their negativity, their anger, their rage, and all their impurities, and this monster force of negative emotions was sentenced to a place where time and reality make no sense. It was locked in where it coalesced into Giratina. You know what that is? That's the Shinto creation myth. And now you have to catch that nightmare monster that's lurking around in a place where the laws of physics make no sense. I loved it because it was richly developed. I loved Platinum because it brought out the best of Japanese folklore by setting it in an area based around Hokkaido that has strong ties to its own folklore. As you play through Platinum, you are playing a quest through a long extended Matsuri, trying to get in touch with nature. Likewise, you have this idea of battles. Hulk Hogan versus the Macho Man. Yeah, these ideas where you have cosmic battles between two forces, and mankind is stuck in between. One of the greatest ones pops up in both ancient Hebrew and in Babylon. This idea of the creature Leviathan and this creature Bahamut. Yes, Jedi, pronouncing it like you do. Because the beast of the seas fights the beast of the land to destroy everything until the beast of the air, either God himself or a creature called Ziz, comes down and God smacks them both. My God, could they be more obvious? Jewish folklore, the game. Balancing. You talk about this in Newton, you talk about this in every action has its equal and opposite reaction. It's one of the founding pieces and precepts of Taoism. What do we know about Taoism? The yin-yang. The fact that two forces, one fire, one cold, one life, one death, balancing forever to maintain stability. That's what you have in black-white, and eventually you get Wuji, you get Kyurem, you get nothingness. Because what surrounds this life and death energy? But void, and all things must maintain this constant swirl, because if something goes out of balance, you now have to have Pokemon balance. Now, we're not talking godlike villains, we're talking shadows. We're talking the things that you are deathly afraid of. We're talking about those voices in the back of your head that tell you to do horrible things. We're talking about the entire plot of Persona 4. Yeah. The idea that your deception, that your shadow is all the negativity, all the fear. Well, we talked about that at one point with Giratina. He is all the things that Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia hated. But then you have Darkrai, nightmares. Yes, that does say the young and the restless. I like to make stupid puns. All anime scholars do it. But the idea behind it is your nightmares lead you astray. Your negative emotions lead you astray. So of course your legendary creatures are going to represent that. So I'm going to tell you a story. Who here has seen Pokemon the first movie? So I went to see Pokemon the first movie when it was still in theaters. Yeah! And I am sitting there in the movie theater, clutching my promo Dragonite card, and watching pretty much this. And I'm like, Mewtwo rebels against Giovanni. Giovanni harvests the cells of something beautiful like Mew, harvests out its compassion, ratchets up its capability for destruction, and creates Mewtwo. Mewtwo says, I'm done with this noise, I'm going out there to destroy everything. So now, the world is falling under the darkness of a Pokemon created by mankind's hubris, until Mew comes back. And then they fight, and then everything goes back to normal, but not before everything we know about science, technology, and ourselves has changed. I am sitting there, I am a college freshman taking a philosophy class. And I'm going, this is Plato, this is Plato, this is Plato, this is Plato, this is Plato. Oh my God, 7-year-old kid. Mommy, why is it so scary? That movie is dark. Yeah, no. But I found that Pokemon is a great way of talking about engineering our own downfall. The idea that Mewtwo could be a nuclear bomb just waiting to go off. Japan does it a lot with their media. I wouldn't be surprised if they put it in Pokemon as well. So you guys remember this one? Okay, so according to legend, if Kangaskhan got knocked out too many times, the baby would jump out of its pouch, put on its mother's skull, and become a Cubone, which would evolve to Marowak, which would evolve to Kangaskhan. Unfortunately, the technology at the time did not allow that to happen. So instead we get Cubone, Marowak, and Kangaskhan. Japan is a generational society. They take great pride in where they came from and where they're going. It's all built into things like Shinto and public philosophy, where you are in the middle and you have relations to everything else. Kangaskhan is a good example of exploring how that would have happened had the technology been able to keep up. That said, it is still a lovely urban legend to talk about. Speaking of Pokemon urban legends, I particularly like the one where you kill Gary's Raticate and crash the funeral. If you don't know about that one, take a look online. So, there are 108 sins that you can commit in most forms of Buddhism. I have committed 83 of them. But there are 108 sins you can commit. If you can purge all 108 sins, you can become like the Buddha. You have removed your impurity and you can travel the middle road. But what if you commit all 108 sins? You become a Pokemon. Spiritomb is the souls of 108 things that committed evil. It is 108 kilograms, it is number 108 in its dex, and it is 108 centimeters tall. And when it came out, it had no weaknesses. This is the Buddha's worst nightmare. Pure and total impurity that you can catch in a Pokeball. So, that's my philosophy section. So now I'm going to move on to the second part, which is my favorite one. Where do they come up with this stuff? But first,
who's that Pokemon? It's John Cena!
one more time, because people are actually shouting.
Who's that Pokemon? It's John Cena!
So I put that in there. The first time I put that in there was for BonsaiCon in South Carolina. And who's that Pokemon? There's a guy sitting right here and screams out, "It's John Cena!" And then that shows up. Needless to say, we broke the planet. So, general idea behind it is the mythology and folklore stories they use are a lot of fun to look at. But when I was younger, notice I used the word younger. I was too old for Pokemon when it came out, and I still don't care. When I was younger, I used to ask, where do they come from? How do you get these ideas? And at the time, I knew nothing about folklore. I knew nothing about Asian mythology. I wondered why Psyduck, which is this cute little duck with a headache, evolves into that blue Helmets. And over time, I discovered some of the roots. So for example, some of them are mundane, most are not. For example, okay, what is that? Pigeon, the official bird of the city of New York. I'm not joking. There is a law in the books that calls them citizens, and if you kill one, you can go to jail. Okay, see, sometimes when I do this, someone looks at the sand shrew and actually says what it's based on. It's based on a creature called pangolin. They live in Madagascar. They have poisonous claws, and they burrow under the ground. So if you go to Madagascar, you can catch a Pokemon. In fact, if you look up pangolin on the internet, it looks just like one. They're not even trying with that one. So, dinosaurs. Because dinosaurs are awesome. I usually say trilobite, but yeah, any kind of Cambrian monster. Triceratops. Tyrannosaurus! Give me my Zord. So you know about the coelacanth. So again, for those of you who don't know about relicanth, it's based on a creature called the coelacanth, which is known as a living fossil. They have existed in the exact same form for 100 million years, and science said they were extinct until they found some living off the coast of South Africa. Again, go to South Africa, you can catch a Pokemon. The question is, why would you want to? That thing is terrifying. It's like this big, I can bite your head off. Go figure. Fashion trends pop up in Pokemon from time to time. Generation 5, which is supposed to take place in New York City, actually throws it in there. The idea that you can have a street punk or a Lolita, these are fashion trends that have become eponymous almost all over the world. So it makes sense to throw them into a game. Anyone, no matter where you are, can recognize what this is. And in some respects, they've encountered them. No trouble. But you want to go to the beginning? You look at yokai. Who here knows a little bit about yokai? Yeah. Good, so some of you know about yokai. I'm sure some of you may have heard me shouting about it at a convention over the last 6 years. Yokai are local folklore. So you've got hopping umbrellas with tongues, water goblins, things that lick the ceiling, and guys with eyeballs in their ass. But that thing is called the Shirime, by the way, whose name actually means I like what? The thing behind them is Pokemon owes an enormous debt to yokai folklore. Go back to the Edo period, they were collecting monster lore from all over Japan and publishing it into books. People would write stories about them. I write stories about them. The idea behind it becomes they became very popular and it was a way for them to discover their own lore. So over time, they went from written volumes to cards. Go to the Edo period, you have the Karuta. You can still buy these in Japan today. And what it would have on the front is a full color or black and white illustration of a monster. On the back, it would tell you where to find it, what it looked like, and how to not get killed by one. So enterprising children would shuffle them up and have card battles with them. My yokai can beat your yokai. Fast forward, and now you can do it thanks to technology. I literally can stand here, have a Poke battle. I'm not going to have a Poke battle with you, I have to finish talking. But I can stand here and have a Poke battle with you. It's the same thing. The technology changes, so now the index is on here, or in some cases, in here. I love Yokai Watch, just to say it, but I'll get into that. Kitsune is the most basic thing you're ever going to find in folklore. If you say what's a kitsune, it's a fox. It's become united with the term fox. But the thing about foxes is, foxes can shapeshift. If they grow a certain number of tails, they can take a form other than what they already are. Many of them can change their base structure to become other types of creatures. Sometimes if a fox gets to 9 tails, it can breathe fire and star in bad ninja movies. I'm not a fan of Naruto, but I do like what he did with the 9-tailed fox. The idea behind Kitsune is they're ever present. And every Pokemon generation plays with them in some way, shape, or form. When the last gen, when XY came out, and I saw you have Fennekin, which can take human form, and use psychic illusions on you, I'm like, finally, the Kitsune is doing what Kitsune is supposed to do. And that works its way into the stories. At the same time, you have the idea of the Tsukumogami. For those of you who have phones, look up Kowapoke. K-O-W-A-P-O-K-E, and look at what pops up. For the rest of you, a Tsukumogami is known as an artifact god. These are creatures that follow the belief that if you love something, or it's been in your family for generations, it develops its own soul. So at that point, if you lose it, the soul gets angry, animates the object, and brings it back. Most of the time, it's in the form of a lantern that sticks its tongue out at you. Most of the time, it might be an umbrella that hops up and down and tries to get you to run away in fear. Sometimes, it's a samurai made out of broken dinnerware that attacks you in your kitchen. But in the case of Pokemon, my favorite one is the Bannet. It's a doll that got lost, and that loved its owner, but the owner lost it. So now it's angry. Now it's evolving. Those of you who pulled up the image on your phone, you see it stalking its former owner through an alleyway at night. It's terrifying, because that's what Tsukumogami do. The same idea goes behind mirrors. Mirrors see what you want to see or see what you don't want to see. And they in turn have incredible power. The gods themselves have used mirrors in order to determine their true nature. So it makes sense that a mirror could come back to life. Likewise, to have the idea, yes, the Kowapoke of her, yeah, you found it. Just look up Kowapoke, you will love it. The idea behind the little fertility idols from the Jomon period. They're supposed to protect grain stores and protect bodies. They come back to life and they keep things safe. So you bothered your parents with that damn ice cream cone. You begged and you pleaded, buy me the ice cream cone, and you got it and you dropped it on the floor. Now that ice cream cone is going to take a bite out of you, are you happy? So like I said, why does a little duck turn into that? Because it's a kappa. Kappa are water goblins. They are found everywhere. You will see signs all over Japan that say, beware kappa. You find them in the mountains, they lose their scaly structure and become these things called yamawara. In the floodplains, they get fat and hairy, they're called killsnake. You go into the deep water, they get long arms and legs, and they're called garappa. You go to certain places, they can turn into monkeys. The idea behind kappa is they live in water, they have beaks, tails, red feet, and they smell like somebody farted all the time. Now, the thing about them is they like to eat 2 things. 1, cucumbers, which is how they got their Kappa maki, the cucumber roll, it means cup. Also, they like to eat children. I love when I have kids in the front row. Because they're about as big as you, but they're stronger than Captain America. Now there's the thing about dealing with Kappa. They swarm like murlocs if you're not careful. But when they leave the water, they have a dish on top of their head. And that dish is full of water. As long as there's water on the dish, the Kappa can move out on shore. If there's no water on the dish, the Kappa's got to go back to the water. So what do? They will always bow back. The water will drip out of the dish, you kick them and run. Or conversely, you can throw coins at them for the Kappa, or you can throw tinfoil at them. They get really distracted by shiny things and they'll go after them. So, I actually do a convention panel called Yokai Girls Gone Wild. And periodically they pop up. The whole idea behind, oh, we look there. Based on a creature called the which is the Japanese equivalent of a gold digger. It's a very misogynistic monster that speaks to the misogynistic nature of Japanese society. That's a whole other kind of a whole other time. The idea behind it is it's a woman who marries a wealthy merchant. The merchant has 2 children. So the merchant says, I gotta go away on business. I want you to feed my kids and treat them as if they were your own. So the woman says, sure, I'll totally do that. What do you think she does? She spends the money on cheap things for herself. The children starve to death. What are you doing? I can see the look on her face. What are you doing? It's like this. So he comes back home, gets angry that his children are dead, picks up a hatchet, whacks his wife in the back of the head with it. But the wound doesn't close. He savors it a second back. Now here's where the Futa gets its power. This is beautiful. This is definitely not. This says sweet things. This curses like an irate Scottish truck driver. This only lies. This only tells the truth, while her hair straightens out and it's all blue in the house. It's a very famous monster that pops up in a lot of Japanese media, so of course there's a Pokemon for it. Do not say Elsa. Say Yukiona, a beautiful ice princess who lives on the side of mountains, can come down from the mountains periodically, looks for someone, walks up to them, says hello, maybe gives them a peck on the cheek and sucks all the heat out of their body. Sometimes she's been known to marry woodcutters in order to troll them 10 years down the road. But that's another story for another day. Now remember how I said there were 3 fashion trend Pokemon? Jinx is the 3rd one. One of the great controversies when Pokemon was ported to this country was Jinx's coloration. People called her racist because they said she was wearing blackface with exaggerated facial expressions and dark skin. Truth be told about Jinx, she's 100% racist. But she's not racist against African Americans, she's racist against Hollywood white girls. See, there's a fashion trend in Japan called Ganguro that was very popular in the 90s, where girls would dye their hair blonde, paint their faces to look ridiculous colors as a way of making fun of Hollywood's celebrity youth culture. And it was all over Japan, so of course they made a Pokemon. Now they take this idea of Ganguro and they blend it with a creature called the Yama-Uba. The Yama-Uba is a mountain hag that lives far away from society. She's beautiful, she takes care of a kid, and if you come anywhere near her, she will grab you, punch you, hang you upside down, slow roast you over a spit, then feed you to her baby. So now, how many of you are going to go over to Jinx in your party? No, mine is called Jinxie Danger because I have a sense of originality. So, has anyone ever been to an Asian market where you see the Beckoning cat? That's my Neki Neko. The guy I did one of my Neki Nekos, it brings customers into the shop, they give it money, and it keeps the shop afloat. I have one, all of my friends have them, every restaurant I've been to has at least one. Meow, cast pay, which gets you more money at the end of the battle. I guess that's the same thing. But on top of the Nekomata. Nekomata is another one of those multi-tailed creatures. If this is a Nekomata, its tail will fork, and it will become 2. This is when a cat gets to a certain age or a certain disposition. When a Nekomata grows a second tail, it can use mental illusions on you. It can take human form. It can misdirect you, spit poison, go invisible, walk through walls, and control snakes. Now, everything I know about cats is that they hate their owners. It only puts up with you. Yeah, I tell you, that is the final trait of the Nekomata. If you put it in a room with a dead body and breathes life back into it, it creates a zombie. I am waiting for Espion to be able to do that. Or maybe that's just what Umbreon is. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say my favorite evolution is Sylveon, because of the bow tie, but they're cute. I also at one point flooded the trade network with Sylveons I bred. So 12 people got perfect Sylveons for battle. 12 people got perfect ones. I'd love to know what the recipients of that. So, Oni means a lot of things. Ogre, trickster, outsider, powerful force, thing that kicks your ass. Oni means a lot of stuff. When you see Oni, they come in a number of varieties. The red Oni and the blue Oni are the most popular. They tend to have horns, they tend to be incredibly good fighters, and they hang around in the underworld waiting for you to die, so when you go down into hell, and you're all going to hell, they get to punish you for being naughty. And part of their punishment includes a 12-foot tall bat with spikes growing out of it that they are very creative with. Now, some Oni work for gods like Raijin. Raijin is the god of thunder. Sits atop a cloud, hurls lightning bolts, and beats drums. He's surrounded by creatures called Raiko that are smaller versions of himself that like to beat mountains and hurl down lightning bolts. But they're typically known by their horns, their angry expressions, and their large teeth. None of that applies to Slowbro. So what's up with Slowbro? Slowbro is a creature called a Sazai Oni. A Sazai Oni is a siren. It lives under the water. If you pass over its home, it will come out of the water, take the form of a beautiful woman, and stay just under the surface as it calls out your name. You will look over the side, see someone drowning. You will reach over to try and grab their hand. Then suddenly this slimy thing comes out, grabs you, pulls you under, and the last thing you see is pretty much that as it eats you. It's a trickster. It's dangerous. How many people are going to put Slowbro at their party? I hope that's not what happened to Slowbro. Look at him. I feel sorry for him if he got him. So, bird mythology is kind of cool. A lot of different cultures use bird mythology. For example, we have Bird of the Phoenix, right? So we've got your phoenix, you've got your Chinese phoenix, the feng huang, which is a source of life and a source of vibrancy. The idea of the, and in Japanese, the feng huang is called the ho. It is the same celestial phoenix. You have the idea of the thunderbird, the kind of creature that brings rain, brings storms, and is incredibly sacred to a lot of different Native American groups. I always wondered what was up with Articuno. What is Articuno? Why does it look like that? And then I was looking through a book, and I saw this woodcut of a great bird with its wings splayed, and right underneath it was the word R-O-C, roc. These are creatures that are found in a lot of Arabic folklore, they're found in Southeast Asian folklore, they're found anywhere south of the mountains. These creatures exist. They are massive, massive birds. Sometimes they go under the name Ruk, R-U-K-H. But what they do is they live in the mountains, fly down off the mountains, and as they beat their wings, they create snow and ice that can freeze over the water, overturn ships, and cover entire villages in mountains and mountains of snow, just like the one that did it to New York a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, we have a problem with this sometimes, but the idea behind it is you got it, put it as a Pokemon, and now it's everywhere. I like dragons. You guys like dragons? There is a Pokemon fan hack where you start the game with the dragon. It's called Dark Rising. I hear it's hard as hell. But it's true. Few things captivate the minds of dragons. They are probably dinosaurs contribute to this. They have a great, terrible beast that is powerful and strong. When you look at Western dragons, they come in a lot of different forms. Your stereotypical dragon, with its wings, its tail, its claws, its angry demeanor, and its ability to breathe fire. You have the guy, sometimes you go and sitting on the sides of castles where by day they scare you and by night they get voiced by Keith David to beat stuff up. You go to England and you have a creature like the wyvern, the wyvern, a two-legged, two-winged beast with a poisonous sting on its tail that flies screaming out of the sky to eat your sheep. And then we have the landcorn, popular in Northern Europe. These creatures are usually armless or legless dragons that burrow under the ground, rupture out of the ground when they find prey, wrap around them and crush them. And the most famous is the lamb-toothed worm, which is native to Northern England. It is often considered to be the inspiration for the story of St. George. He rode out to fight a worm, defeated it, and went on to become England's guardian saint. But we go from the west to the east, and it gets a little different. There is a place known as the Dragon's Gate. At the base of the Dragon's Gate, which is a mighty large gate, is a pool full of carp. And these carp will swim to the bottom, swim to the top, jump out of the water, flail, and fall right back in. But if one of them manages to get over the Dragon's Gate, he turns into a Gyarados. The idea behind Asian dragons is they are frequently water bringers, not fire bringers. They are associated with wisdom, not greed, and they are immortal. If you can find one and it is not angry, it can teach you wisdom. There's a creature in Japan called a Ryu, and Ryu are these long serpentine dragons that live in caves deep underwater. On nights of certain moons, they swim out of the cave, swim up to the surface, and wait for the god of the moon, or goddess of the moon, to drop pearls. And if they catch enough pearls, they will evolve themselves into these beautiful, powerful dragons. Now there at the bottom, we have the Hydra god, which in its name says Hydra, multi-headed dragon. In Japanese folklore, there was this dude named Sosonomo no Mikoto, and the best way to describe him is he's that douchebag older brother we all have. And he made fun of his sister Amaterasu all the time, to the point where Amaterasu hid herself in a cave and plunged the entire world into darkness. So the other kami and beings surrounded Sosonomo and said, "You screwed up! Get the hell out of here and kill monsters!" So they gave him a sword, kicked him out of heaven, and told him to go walk the planet, destroying beasts. And he did, until he came to this one village. In this one village, there was a bride, and she was made up to look beautiful. And she was being led away into the forest. So Sosonomo says, "What's up with that?" And the people in the village said, "Our village is under the protection of the great god Orochi. Orochi protects us." "Well, let's see, I'm a god. I've never heard of this Orochi fellow. I want to see what this is." So he goes off into the forest, to a spot. He sees this woman, go behind the veil of shadows of this. Then hears her scream. He draws his sword, runs into the forest, sees the nine-headed dragon on the other side, and says, "Nope, nope, no way in hell." But he knows he has to beat it. So he decides to use trickery. He goes back to the village and gets 18 jugs of sake. Strong wine. Puts it down in the forest and says, "Wedding gift from great god Orochi." Orochi sees all nine of its heads out of the mist. Hey, 3 moves. Drinks all of it. Falls asleep. He then takes his sword. And Sosonomo starts cutting the monster to pieces. The tail of the monster is shrouded in clouds. He swings his sword, goes into the clouds, and breaks in half. Reaching down in there, he withdraws the source of the monster's power, a sword called Kusanagi, that had been stolen from the Dragon King. And he created this monster. He takes the sword, there's the legend claiming his past sister, all is forgiven. Out of this, Hydrodon was a three-headed Yamato no Orochi, which you know was also a three-headed Yamato no Orochi, Hydra. Because Hydra-headed, Hydra is a juvenile Orochi, which means that they actually acted strong. And Hydra is one of the few villains that can beat up Godzilla. I want to see the nine-headed version. So, gods and these cosmic creative forces are found all over the place. Pokemon is no exception. You got your Kami trio. Tornadus, Thunderous, Landorus. Well, let's see. Tornadus got the color scheme for Blue Jay completely correct. Angry, god of the wind. Makes perfect sense. Thunderous should have had the color scheme of Raijin over there, not that. The thing about Landers is supposedly based on the copy of Artist is Inari. Inari does not look like that. Inari tends to be depicted as a type of fox. So technically your Inari Pokemon is Leafeon. But it can get a little more complicated, talk to me after that. Now, I apologize, you know I like bad puns, but all of my Lucario is Skywalker. Now, when I saw Lucario, receive Jackal Head, Great Fire, likes to use Aura Sphere, see how much life you have left. It is a new mystical Pokemon. He cosplays as an Egyptian god. Lucario, use the Force Palm. Defeat your opponents. I told you, bad puns, get over it. Ever walk past the temple and see the two lions and two dogs? These are called Shisa or Koma Inu. You go to Japan and it's usually two dogs. One with its mouth closed, one with its mouth open. Koma Inu are gods themselves that guard temples from people trying to attack them. If you go after it, it will jump down off its perch, run right up to you, open its mouth, and spit fire in your face. Because you deserve it. You cross over to the continent, and they start turning into lions. And those lions serve the same purpose. Now, there are parts of Japan, old Buddhist temples, that use the lions as well. So you'll find a god by the sanctuary and a lion guarding the gate. Those particular photos up there were taken at the Brooklyn Museum before they shut down their East Asian art department because they were going to fix it and they never did. But you can find them almost anywhere, and they are witches in their own right now. Part of when I went to Japan, I wanted to visit Tohoku. Tohoku is the home of the Shishigami, and the Shishigami is the deer spirit. In Tohoku, the deer has the ability to cross the barrier between the lands of the living and the lands of the dead. By day, it heals. By night, it kills, because it needs to keep its balance. Pokemon X comes out. Caesarius. I go to gates. Hi, I want Pokemon X. Flirt. No, you don't want Pokemon X. Pokemon Y is better. I want Pokemon X. Oh no, dude, trust me. The Pokemon in Y are better. You're gonna want Y. I want Pokemon X. Don't believe me, I'm doing you a favor. You're gonna want Y. Give me the goddamn Princess Mononoke Pokemon. I will have the opportunity to visit Tohoku. Third weekend in September is their folklore festival, Tono Matsuri. And you have people dressed up like the deer dancing through the streets to banish negative energy. If you are respectful to them and you take part in the festival, the deer will then give you some of its hair and bite you, thereby giving you incredibly good fortune during the year. I got bit 3 times, and so far my year is turning out okay. Sometimes the entire world exists on the back of a turtle floating through the cosmos. I mean, it's everywhere. This world has it. So, it makes sense. I didn't use this Pokemon when I played Platinum because Piplup is awesome. Although my Piplup is named Kendo, so it says that. So, we got ideas of different kinds of ghosts. You got your Banshee, disembodied head, flies through the sky, wailing when someone's about to die. You got your Will-O-the-Wisp that bobs up and down, luring you into the peat bogs where monsters will eat. You have Reapers that represent your fear of death or your fear of the loss of self. Either way, you have this notion of yourself distracted by life, you're afraid of it. Tsukogami we spoke of. You speak frequently of see butterflies, have the ability to pass between the lands of the living and the dead. One of my favorite stories is about this old man who was dying and his niece was taking care of him. And one day a white butterfly appeared right at his bedside. So the niece shoos it away. He goes back. She shoos it away. Comes back the 3rd time. This time when she chases him, she shoos it away into a graveyard and follows it all the way through the graveyard. It lands in the grave of a woman named Akiko, who according to the dates died at the age of 18. Disappears. She turns around and goes back home only to find that her uncle has died. And her mother asked her, why did you leave him alone? Why did you go? And she says, I saw this butterfly. It was sitting right there and kept coming back at me. Just to try to shoo it away. And it went up into the graveyard and sat on the gravestone of a woman named Akiko. Kiko. And her mother says, oh, Kiko was your uncle's fiancée. She died before the wedding. He was so distraught that he never married. Go to that grave every single day to change the water, to change the reeds, and to continually remind her that she is loved. That butterfly must have been coming to collect his soul. And some versions of the story say the next day she found two white butterflies sitting right there on the head. The idea behind it is butterflies have stability, including certain things of butterfly abilities. But then we're all looking at the drowsy. In the beginning, when the gods created everything, they had pieces left over. They did. They had the tail of an ox, the hindquarters of a great cat, the eyes of a rhinoceros, the jaw of an elephant. So they slammed them all together and created a creature called the Baku. At night, when you are asleep, the Baku comes into your house. It creeps into your bedroom, gets right up and personal, lays its snout on your head, and eats your nightmares. The Baku is a guardian spirit. If you have ever had a nightmare that just goes away, it's a Baku. Drowsy puts you to sleep and casts Dream Eater. I like these kids, they're awesome. So, you have this idea of fairies. Fairies are cool. Sometimes fairies come from the moon. Sometimes fairies come from the trees. We all know the story of the ugly duckling that turns into a beautiful swan, even though I've never given a lot to an off to save my life. What's up with the My Little Pony over there? There's a creature called a Kelpie. It's found in Northern European folklore. It's called a river horse. They live in rivers and lakes. If you ever see a beautiful horse on the banks of a river or lake that beckons to you, do not get on its back. At best, it's going to drown you. At worst, it's going to deliver you to David Bowie. So, what's a cryptid? Cryptid is a monster that probably exists but doesn't. So you have the Loch Ness Monster, the Abominable Snowman, and Dracula. These are common ones that we know from our own culture. What's up with the Dunsparce? There's a creature that's popular in Japan called the Tsuchinoko. And the Tsuchinoko is known as a flat snake that flies through the air by undulating. One day, they found in Oshi Prefecture a flat snake skeleton. Oh my God, they're real! They dug up the Tsuchinoko skeletons and they sent it away for genetic testing. Overnight, Tsuchinoko winery, Tsuchinoko farm, Tsuchinoko hotel, Tsuchinoko tours, Tsuchinoko every Tsuchinoko underwear, Tsuchinoko the dog. David Schwartz, be with you. Tsuchinoko the flamethrower, keeps all happening. They made Tsuchinoko into a celebrity. Then they got the results back. It was a snake that got run over by a truck. However, like the Loch Ness Monster, or Bigfoot, or Yeti, it's popular enough that people still go there. These cryptids are cool. So, this is my last slide, because I'm coming right down to the end. You guys have been great, so here we go. There exists a creature in Jewish folklore called a golem. And a golem has no sense of self. He's usually made out of rock, out of wood, out of clay, or in some cases, out of flesh. No one would call Frankenstein. The idea is they come to life, and then they serve their creator with no sense of their own will. That is a golem. Pokemon have access to several of them that are very powerful, but have no mind of their own. We've seen hellhounds before. You go to the crossroads, sell your soul to jazz music, 10 years, and some kid named Crowley comes out. It happens. I've managed to defer mine for a couple of years, and I don't care. They're hellhounds now. Up here in the middle, Terravatar. There exists a creature in France called the Tarrasque. Any Dungeons and Dragons player has heard this name.
Reads too much.
Tarrasque can only be hit on a roll of a 1. Tarrasque sleep or ages. And when they wake up, they eat everything in front of them. Animals, people, dirt, houses, cars, it doesn't matter. They sleep, they waken, they devour. That's what's right. So let's go with Zig. exists a creature in the books of folklore, also in the Gospel of It's called the Wak-Wak tree. In Japan, it's called a Jimenju. It is a tree with human-faced fruit. So it smells really nice. You get really, really close, pluck the fruit, go to bite it, and suddenly, surprise! And you scream and drop fruit. The thing is, they taste delicious, and they can't actually harm you. So if you can make a Wak-Wak tree laugh, all the fruit will fall off from its branches, and you can then have a filling meal. Mustard, my favorite starter from Gen 3. My favorite Pokemon from Gen 3. So imagine you are a poor farmer. You're living in a village at the edge of a great forest. And then, one day, your neighbor comes running through the trees. The Basan is coming! The Basan is coming! Run! And like 30 seconds later, a 10-foot-tall fire-breathing chicken runs out of the woods. That's a Basan. It buck burninates your house. The thing about the Basan, the fire isn't dangerous. In fact, if it breathes fire on your house, it's actually a blessing. You're not going to notice that because you just soiled yourself right into this. And finally, we have this catch. Onamazu. Onamazu is a folklore creature, a giant catfish that lives under the islands of Japan. According to legend, if you wake it up or it gets too polluted, the Onamazu will shudder. And that shuddering creates earthquakes and tsunamis. While I was in Japan, I experienced 3 earthquakes and a small tsunami because Onamazu. Then, last year, and I posted this on my Facebook account, facebook.com/study anatomy while I got you all here. I post articles like interesting things all the time. They discovered that there is a group of large catfish that live right off the coast of Japan. And their whiskers can sense underwater earthquakes. So if a bunch of them get up and swim away, all at the same time, in an irregular pattern, it means that a tsunami is coming. They actually tested this. They can predict an earthquake or a tsunami up to 2 weeks in advance. And when people watch the catfish, they actually will have enough of a head start to evacuate the coast. So if you go to Japan, so these are just some of them. There's tons more out there. If you want more information, you can always email me. My Facebook group, as I said, is facebook.com/studyanime. I have some merchandise from Katsucon. If you want a yokai roll for $5, I want to get rid of all of these. It'll pay for my bills for the ride home. Otherwise, I will be back in the area for Otakon. I'm back in the area. If you go to Study Anime and email me, I do 30 cons a year. So you're gonna run into me again. This is only my second MAGFest, but it's my first MAGFest as a panelist. And all I gotta say is, you guys are awesome.